home on the 15th, he's already gone for about a period of roughly 48 hours. So does the extra 2 to 3 days make a difference? It certainly doesn't look good that Garrison comes forward on that Thursday and says we know where he is, and then Friday they say we don't know where he is. Taylor calls in a WFLA Now and says we don't know where he is. But will those couple of days make a difference? We probably will never know.
Like I said, what I want to see, JB, is these documents unredacted. I don't know when that'll happen, but I think us here at Channel 8 and WFLA will still push to get those reports at some point to hopefully maybe provide some more clarity and some answers, especially in this first crucial week when this story became a national obsession.
Obsession indeed.
We are still talking about it, and there'll be still little, things we uncover as we keep going, and we will stay on top of it.
And the reason that we're staying on top of it as much as we are, this is our coverage area.
Yeah.
Sarasota County, Northport, that's our coverage area. You turn on your RBC station, you find WFLA News Channel 8, and of course you find WFLA's Justin Checker. Justin, what are you going to be working on tonight? And
I think we're going to be following up on this development here. Excuse me, I put in a request to try to speak to Josh Taylor one-on-one. I don't know if that's going to happen, but good work on your end, JB, to confirm this. And again, just to wrap up, we're looking at those first few days in this investigation between when Gabby's reported missing to when the official report came in for Brian Laundrie the following Friday. Again, this breaking development we've reported on the last couple minutes here on the stream is that Wednesday they're saying they mistook Brian for his mother returning home, and that is why the chief made that definitive comment on the Thursday that we know where he is. We now know he'd already been out at the reserve for 3-4 days at this point, and again, there's still unanswered questions about how Brian died or when he might have died, and we'll still hopefully get those answers at some point, but this again is just clarifying why Northport Police felt they knew where he was when clearly he was already out there in the reserve and never came home.
WFLA staying on this story, folks, as far as asking the right questions and hopefully providing you with answers. That's our commitment to you, 8 on your side. We're wrapping up our live stream here on WFLA Now, but as a reminder, the latest for you, including this story and this new development, it's on WFLA.com, the WFLA app. I'm going to be heading over to my various social media accounts. I want to catch up on some of what you're saying on Instagram with hashtag HeyJB. I missed a lot of hashtag HeyJB questions and comments on Twitter. I'm going to try to catch up because this was a breaking development. My attention was just on some of the comments that were trickling in that we had here into our system, the ones that you saw here on our live stream. So I'm going to try to catch up on some of the things that you're saying. What do you think in response to this story? Roberta Laundrie being mistaken for Brian Laundrie upon the return of the Mustang on Wednesday, September 15th. Let me know. You can follow me on my social media accounts at WFLAJB on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, and I'll try to chime in with some of the commenters and some of the viewers there. And, of course, the latest for you from our award-winning WFLA News Channel 8 team. It's on WFLA.com and also the WFLA app.
Hey. All right. So here's the thing. JR, I completely agree with you. Let me say hi to everyone. What's up, everyone? Members, Patreons. Whoop. Hold on. Let me stop sharing for a moment. Hang on. All right. Whoop. You see my head. What's up? Alright. So, what's up, everyone? Alright, let me just say this. I do not understand. Now, you guys know where I stand on this. But all they keep doing is screwing themselves, because I don't even understand why they're running with this. They should have just kept their mouth shut. Okay, so you got busted, you suck, and that's it, move on. But the fact that they're running with this, oh, well, we thought it was his mom. Are you blind? Because even in a car, his mom and him look absolutely nothing alike. So then people wonder where all the conspiracy theories come from. Well, there you go. That's where it comes from. It comes from the fact that you guys keep screwing up. You won't admit what you did. Just admit that you fucked up and move on. End of story. Because if you're not going to do that, don't wonder where all the conspiracy comes from. I'll rewind it because I didn't actually see the beginning of it. But what happened was, just to keep you guys up to date, what happened was that all of a sudden, the FBI, I'm sorry, not FBI, Northport Police turn around and say, hey, we thought we knew where Brian was because we thought that the person driving the Mustang in the pink baseball cap was Brian. We didn't realize that was Roberta. Really? Okay, so let's give them that. Now, again, I haven't seen what was said on WFLA. We can watch that together. But, all right, let me check this out first. So, allegedly, now we'll say allegedly, the lawyer, Bertolino, called the FBI on Monday, okay, and told them that Brian was missing. On Wednesday, the FBI claims that they know where Brian is. Then on Thursday or Friday, they say that they have no idea where Brian is. So when they had these secret cameras on the house, they couldn't tell that Roberta wasn't Brian? If that's the case, I'm going to go commit some crimes in Northport Police and wear a mask or something because that's how dumb they are. And I can't believe that they're running with this. Like, how do you even run with this? How does this even make sense? It just doesn't even make sense. So, with that said, I'm going to rewind WFLA because I haven't seen it. But first, he was supposed to text me and he didn't. But I was told that Sloan, the big YouTuber, did an unboxing of my candles. And I am very excited about it. And where did he do an unboxing? All I see is Brian Laundrie. Or he did it on the Brian Laundrie video? No, believe me, I know who he is. But all I see is a Brian Laundrie video. From 26 minutes ago. Did he do it at the end? Oh, it is at the end? Hold on.
To talk more about, to make a candle for you guys. And it's going to be a big for some time, and she's got this today. Those who are, gone.
Okay, we have to watch this first. Because I am so excited about it. And there's much more to come. But I got to show you guys because it's awesome. Hold on. I told him he's got to come on my channel so we can discuss Brian Laundrie. Hold on. Whoop.
Are no longer with us. So I'm really excited to talk more about the indigenous people on my channel and other people who have been missing. So please email me and I will look forward to those. I do want to open a PO Box package item. It's from a company called Interpret. Oh my God, I hope I'm saying that right. But it's my friend Laura's candle company. I'm going to list it below. And the reason why I'm opening this today because usually I don't open a PO box package in my videos about Gabby, but this one is a little bit special because I'm actually collaborating with this brand. So I wanted to open this one. So I've been talking about creating a candle for some time because I make candles at my home, and I've been talking to a woman named Laura for some time, and she's got this company which we're about to unbox right now, and these are like some of her candles that she has already made, and we are collaborating together to make a candle for you guys. And it's gonna be a very limited like amount because it's just like a small business and she can only make so much. So I want to hear what you guys think about that in the comments below. Would you be interested? Honestly, Laura hooked it up, and I'm really excited for you guys to see her brand and just to like also see what we come up with, because I am really in love with candles. I'm really excited to be working with a small brand because I had a few other opportunities to work with like some bigger brands and stuff, and I was like, you know what, it doesn't feel right to me. I would much rather go and support a smaller business, you know. So this is one candle right here. It's called Creamy Vanilla. Oh my god, and she's got my name on it. Sloan, see that? So these wouldn't be like the candles that you guys would be buying. These are her candles and her design and things like that. Oh my gosh, it smells so good. I love the detail, like the gold flakes and the flowers. I think for my candle specifically, we'll do just gold flakes or something. Also, I love the packaging. I'm glad that she already has that down because that's going to be super helpful. Ooh, what is this? So this is a kind of a smaller candle. I'm thinking for my candle, we'll do like an 8.5 ounce size. So this one's iced vanilla and cinnamon. Oh my gosh, and look at the little like sprinkles on top. It's so cute. That one is so strong. I love this one. Ugh. I know this is gonna be kind of like a longer unboxing, guys, so bear with me. This one right here. Ooh, wow. Look at the metal. The metal is really cool too. Oh, and it's got like the wood wick at the top with the opening. So I wonder if you could have the lid on there and burn it at the same time. But look at the blue. The blue looks so pretty with the gold, and this one's bergamot and sandalwood. Wow, that smells really good. Wow, this is like the kind of scent I really like because it's got a natural smell. Wow, look how pretty it is. I'm so excited. So this is about the size that my candle will be for you guys. So what do you guys think about that? I'm thinking about it's gonna be like a frosted maybe color, white, like a gold, whatever. I don't want to give it all away. I don't want to give it all away. Oh my gosh, this one is so good. It just like feels like rich, if that's like a thing. I didn't know that like leather would smell so good. Like, what is that? That smells so yummy. Thank you so much. I'm so excited about all these candles, and then to have my own, it's just so exciting. Another wax melt. Yes. Oh my gosh, I love these. Thank you so much, Laura. It makes me so excited for our collaboration. Like, even just seeing my name on a candle, like even though this won't be like the logo and stuff, it's just like it's so unreal, and I've always loved candles, and I'm so excited to give you guys something very personal to me, something I'm working with a small brand on, and it's gonna be like a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, but there's also a lot of love as well. So thank you so much, Laura. I can't wait for our collaboration. I'm really into it, and I'll see you guys in a new video soon. Go and check out her site, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, guys.
Oh my god, I love him. Holy crap, that was awesome. Awesome. So yes, I didn't know he said publicly, but yes, we are doing collaboration. I'm making a candle line for him, and I'm really, really excited. I'm excited for him. This is something I've been working on for a while, and we spoke today, and I guess we sealed the deal. Nothing's set in stone yet though, but we sealed the deal. He is an amazing, amazing guy, and how he found me, it was because I made YouTube candles for people. Amazing. He's got 550,000 subscribers. He pulls great numbers on his videos, and this is going to be wonderful. So I had to show it. I'm going to show it on my other channel later too, because I'm so excited. And so that's it. So now we get back to Brian Laundrie. I just had to share that. Sloan is awesome. He's so, so sweet. Let me drop his link. Here is the link to the video. And if you have any doubt, he is just a wonderful guy. And he's just so sweet. And he's doing this for his subs, and it's hopefully, you know, we'll get boom. So yeah, so that's awesome. And thank you, Sloan, for an amazing review. All right. So now moving on. Let's get back to Brian Laundrie here. And like I said, I haven't watched the FLA stuff yet. So we're going to watch it together. But I just cannot believe that they're actually running with this. And it is the fault of the NPPD. It is. So let's watch it. Hold on. Let me pull it up. All right.
And this is big news, JB, because it's one of the big questions our viewers have had throughout this whole investigation is how did Northport Police lose track of Brian Laundrie so quickly? We now know it was that Monday, 2 days after Gabby's reported missing, he went to the reserve to never come home. And now we find out that Wednesday, when the Mustang came back, Northport Police mistook the person returning home in the Mustang for his mom. And he was long gone at that point in the park to never come home.
I'm just going to say what everyone else is saying. It's a 23-year-old versus a woman who is literally quite old enough to be his mother. And Roberta, it's not even Chris Laundrie being mistaken for Brian, because they both have very little to no hair on the top of their head. We're talking about Roberta.
Okay, so if you're just coming in, you're not familiar with what's going on. It seems that the NPPD, which is Northport Police Department, think that they lost sight of... Oh, can you guys drop my candling too, mods? That Northport Police lost track of Brian Laundrie, but then they said that they thought that Roberta was Brian, and that's how they didn't lose him. It's absolutely ridiculous and makes no sense. They look nothing alike at all. So, like I said, I haven't heard the beginning of this, so let's see what's going on. Hey, Jay.
Laundrie, who we have seen, has a head of hair on her. So wearing the baseball cap was part of the mix-up here, according to Josh Taylor. First and foremost, let me just talk about Josh Taylor for a second. Okay, he's not the one who made this mistake. Okay, this is now, he represents his department, speaks on behalf of his department, and he's the public information officer. This is him admitting to a mistake made by his department. And the quote that he gave was that they're kind of built similarly, that they have a similar build as far as Brian Laundrie and his mother, Roberta Laundrie. I'll read some more quotes here. When the family reported him on Friday, that was certainly news to us that they had not seen him. We thought that we had seen Brian initially come back into that home on that Wednesday. And the reason that they thought that they saw him, because they thought it was Roberta, or excuse me, they thought it was Brian, and it was in fact Roberta. And that's why Garrison stands up there with the world watching and says, we know where Brian is, because his officer, his department that was there, thought that they saw Brian return home, but it was in fact Roberta. This is a case of mistaken identity by law enforcement, and it's Josh Taylor now, the date being October 25th, 2021. So more than a month later, it's Josh Taylor, facing the music, so to speak, looking into the camera and saying that his department made this mistake, this big mistake that answers a monumental big question that has been looming and been asked repeatedly here on our WFLA Now streams.
And that particular moment was that press conference with Gabby Petito's father, Joseph Petito, that Thursday when he made this passionate plea for help, and then the chief was asked that question. We know, JB, that moment has come under some serious scrutiny that the chief would say, we know where he is, and it turns out it was a case of mistaken identity now that they're saying they mistook Brian for his mom. And also some more reporting in these last few days since Brian's remains were confirmed to be found. Our colleague over at News Nation, Brian Enton, has reported that police had set up some surveillance cameras around the family home down there on Wabasso Avenue, but they missed him leaving to go to the reserve. So again, this is these first crucial few days, JB, after Gabby is finally officially reported missing that Saturday. By Monday, Brian is long gone to the reserve, and now we know why the chief in that press conference you see on your screen there made this comment about knowing 100% where he is, and turns out they were completely wrong.
We're going to feature your Hashtag HeyJB. You see it underneath our names here on the left and right side of your screen. Hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyJustin. As we do here in WFLA Now, we feature what you have to say. We very much care about what you have to say in our social media comment section. We're going to feature your comments in response to this. If you use one of the hashtags, again, it's hashtag HeyJustin or hashtag HeyJB. We can pluck your comment out of YouTube Live, out of Facebook Live, or Twitter, and we can feature it here on our stream, on our live stream. If you don't want us to feature your comment, just don't use a hashtag. We'll let your comment continue scrolling up the screen here. But Justin, before I start, we're going to look for them now here. Hashtag HeyJB, hashtag HeyJustin. I would imagine, what do you think the response is going to be to this latest report and really this admission of a mistake by Josh Taylor on behalf of his police department?
I think a lot of us have just been puzzled, you know, when they knew the van was back there the Saturday night. They knew the family had turned over the contact for Stephen Bertolino. And the question from the get-go was, had Northport Police ever actually had their eyes on Brian? And now this raises question whether they even saw him in those few days since he had returned home. And I imagine just leads to some more, you know, outrage from our viewers who have followed this story closely, who've been asking all along, how did they let him slip, you know, under their fingers like that, right to a reserve, not too far from the home? And we know Gabby's body was found 8 days after she was reported missing. It took 34 days to finally locate his remains in the reserve that you see on the screen. So, again, Josh Taylor's been given a few more interviews in the last couple of days, trying to set the record straight on some of these lingering questions from the early days of this investigation. But this admission, I think, is just going to, you know, viewers are not going to feel good about this admission for knowing what we know now.
What is the point of the admission? That's what I don't understand. Why would they admit this? What are they trying to do besides give the conspiracy theorist all of this nonsense? Because that's what's going to happen. They're just going to continue to give them all of this nonsense, and I don't understand why. Then they're going to wonder why people are saying Brian's still alive. I mean, JB even says it at one point. Well, gee, I wonder why people think he's still alive.
Yeah, and we have, of course, spotlighted some of the comments here on social media that have been extraordinarily critical of the Northport Police Department, and it didn't look good at the time. It really doesn't look good now, considering how large this case has gotten as far as the media attention and the public fascination really around the world. Yeah. So that mistake, it looked really bad in a 24-hour period for Chief Todd Garrison to stand up there and say, we know where Brian is, and then the next day, of course, he's gone, and it's the subject of a massive how did that happen sort of live stream that we had. Yeah. And now here we are more than a month later, and all that time passing doesn't help this look any better for Northport Police as far as what we're seeing. There have already been some comments that I've been going through here on Facebook and on YouTube. Let's just say that they don't have language that is appropriate here for this live stream. That's how dumbfounded I think it's fair to say that folks are dumbfounded people are. And
now there's these questions too. Stephen Bertolino, some of his comments saying that he had told the FBI that Brian had left to the reserve does not add up to the timeline, JB, of not until Friday, the 17th, when they said, we don't know where he is. So that, I think, also adds to this confusion. Who knew what when? Stephen Bertolino says he knew that Brian had left for the park that Monday. Why wasn't there more of an indication that he's MIA earlier that week until the Friday?
Okay, I want to point something out, though, here. People were saying, oh, it wasn't underwater. Look how high this grass is. Like, I'm going to play Bermuda. Look how high that is. You're not going to see a body in there. You're never going to see a body in there.
Friday, and is completely redacted.
Yeah, and we shared that out as well. I'm waiting for our system to cooperate here as far as animating your comments on screen. Looking forward. Again, there's just so much disbelief. But let me make something clear. There are people now that are asking, are Chris and Roberta Laundrie going to be arrested? And this is a mistake by the police department. And Roberta Laundrie has been and Justin, you can share this with me because you've been back and forth between Northport and every clip that I have.
Let me also say, the way the cameras are focused, it only further proves my theory that they were looking for a dead body. They were never looking for somebody camping. They were looking for a dead body the entire time. I am 100% convinced of this. The way they only had one canine, the way, as high as this is, the way the camera angles are, they were looking for a dead body the entire time. And nothing's going to stray me from that.
Have seen Roberta Laundrie, it's almost weird if she's not wearing a baseball cap. I mean, she's usually wearing that forward-facing hat.
She has short hair, but she's usually seen wearing the baseball cap. We know there was those photos we saw that emerged last Wednesday that Fox News Digital got Brian. All
right, let me also point this out for anyone that doesn't know Florida that well. Lots of old people in Florida wear baseball caps. My mom wears one too because of the sun and the heat. So it doesn't surprise me. Like, I don't want anyone to run with, oh, she was trying to look like her son, or she was doing this because she wanted to look like her son. No, most older women in Florida wear baseball caps. Promise you.
Chris and Roberta, when they went over to the reserve, I believe she's wearing a baseball cap in those photos as well. As we wait for the comments, JB, I just pulled back my notes. So as you know, the first day we covered this story was that Monday, September 13th. And one of the questions I asked Josh Taylor at the time was, is the boyfriend cooperating with Northport Police before he confirmed he was the fiance? This was his direct quote to me, JB, on that Monday. From Josh Taylor. Yeah, I'm not really at liberty to discuss that. Again, we're an assisting agency. We'll see where that goes, obviously. I'm not at liberty to say whether he's working at our level of wanting him to be. So that was the official word from Josh Taylor on that Monday, when we now know Brian had already left for the park to never come home. And now we know the skeletal remains were found, and there's still lingering questions about how he died. But again, just these first couple days coming under new scrutiny with these comments from Northport Police that they thought Brian returned home on Wednesday, when now they're saying it was his mother, Roberta Laundrie.
Let's get to some of the comments that are beginning to come in here, but this doesn't really, for people asking online, and again, use hashtag HJB, hashtag HJustin with your comment. We can feature it on screen. This doesn't change the timeline all that much.
No.
It's more of a clarification on why police thought that they knew where Brian was 1 minute and then he was gone the next, or at least he had been, or he was already gone. Remember now, Stephen Bertolino, the attorney for Brian Laundrie, originally shared that the family
lost him on the Tuesday,
but it was in fact on the Monday, that being Monday, September 13th. Let me just make an observation that is within the realm of possible, that is very important, and there's so much that could, but I want to talk about what is within the realm of possible here, as I call it on stream, okay? Brian Laundrie's remains, the skeletal remains found at the Carlton Reserve, the partial skull, the dental records that would go on to confirm that, yes, that those skeletal remains belong to Brian Laundrie. We have no idea when Brian Laundrie was deceased, when he died.
Or how it happened. Those are still under investigation.
But if he disappears on Monday the 13th, by the time this is all going on, by the time that the Ford Mustang is driven back to the home in Northport, by the time that Chief Todd Garrison stands up there and says we know where Brian is, to the big massive live stream that we had when everyone was crowding on the front lawn of the home that Friday night, the night of Friday, September 17th, while this is all going on, it's entirely possible that Brian Laundrie is deceased at that point.
Yep.
The remains being skeletal and the remains being as far along in the decomposition process as they were found out to be at the Carlton Reserve makes it more likely that the time frame in which Brian Laundrie was deceased is way early on in this window of beginning from Monday the 13th all the way through to mid-October, that it's way more likely that Brian Laundrie was deceased in September versus October, and it could have been that week. We just don't know yet, though, and we hope that the anthropologist examination will provide us with some answers.
We also know there have been comments, now that Stephen Bertolino has put himself out there for some network interviews. One of the questions he's been asked is whether the Laundrie parents were concerned about their son's safety when he did leave for the park. And I think the answer Stephen Bertolino gave was, well, he's a young adult, grown man. You know, his dad could see he was upset, wishes he could have done more to stop him, but he really couldn't have stopped him from leaving on his own volition at that point to go to the park. And at least for Stephen Bertolino, they're saying that there was no imminent knowing that he might go harm himself or of that nature. So that's another comment's been made in the last few days from Mr. Bertolino.
Let's get to, all right, so the comments on our live stream here, they are not, the animation isn't working as I understand it. We're going to try one more time to see if we can get it working. I have had conversations with Facebook today. Facebook says that they're having some technical difficulties with the ability for us to pluck comments out of the Facebook Live comment section. Oh, look. See, this is the second time today where I've been talking about Facebook having some issues. Josh mentioned Zuckerberg, and the moment he said Zuckerberg earlier, it animated on screen. So now it's working, and it might just take a good 30 seconds for these comments to file into our system. Maria, #KJB, can Brian's parents be charged? And there's nothing with this development that makes it any more likely that Chris and Roberta Laundrie face charges. They return home with the Ford Mustang on that 13th, okay, and they go back into they're retrieving the car. They're driving down public roads. They pull into their own driveway and go into their house and close the door. And it's not their fault that police mistook Roberta for Brian. That's not the Laundrie's fault. That's on the Northport Police Department. They admit that they have made a mistake here. That crucial day, Wednesday, September 15th, last month. And so, can they be charged? No. There's nothing to suggest here that there's anything criminal that was conducted by the Laundries. But this.
Okay, call me dumb. Hey, Scorpio, call me dumb. Call me the biggest idiot in the world, but can someone explain to me, if Brian wasn't a person of interest immediately, or he wasn't wanted for anything, can someone explain to me why they would care so much about seeing him, losing him, or anything before Friday when it was officially reported? Let me rephrase that. Let me spell this out so I can say it the way it's in my head. Brian, when Gabby was reported missing on the 11th, which would have been that Saturday, Gabby was reported missing. We finally got some coverage the 13th. Brian goes to the thing and disappears. The FBI says on Wednesday they know where he is, but why did they already have cameras set up? And if they already have cameras set up, why wouldn't they tell us that, yes, he's wanted for murder? Because at that point, they didn't even know that he had the credit card fraud. So if he didn't have the credit card fraud yet, because he didn't have that first week, why would they have cameras set up already? I don't believe those cameras were set up that week. I think there was just somebody sitting out the house and they just wanted, like, they were just watching here and there. Because if you put their own timeline together, it doesn't make sense. Those cameras couldn't have been there. This was just somebody, like the cops were just like casually watching the house. They also didn't know if Gabby was alive or not exactly. That's what I'm saying. The only person that knew that was Brian. So Brian disappears immediately. It just hey, Dahmer, it just goes to show that Northport police are so full of shit that they can't just stop. They can't stop lying. It's like it's snowballing one lie after the next. And I do 100% believe Brian is dead. Do not get me wrong. I absolutely believe in the skull is his. I absolutely believe in that Northport police completely screwed this up. And I don't know if they're going to change it, but they definitely screwed this up. But once you piece together the timeline, it just doesn't add up. It doesn't make sense.
This comment by Maria, Maria, you're not the only one to ask this question.
A lot of people are asking this question.
A lot of people asking this question. I'm a bit surprised by how many people are asking this question, but this just goes to show how much that Brian Laundrie's parents, Chris and Roberta, remaining.
All right, that's an excellent question. Why do I believe he's dead if they lied about everything else? I'm going to tell you why. I believe that he's dead because I believe in dental records, and I believe that the FBI does not have a reason to lie. The FBI would not lie. They have nothing to gain by lying. They didn't lose Brian. The Northport Police Department lost Brian. The Northport Police Department became null and void when they got off the case and the FBI took it over. The FBI has absolutely no reason to want to cover this up. Northport Police do. Now, if Northport Police tell me that they found a skull and they did this and they did that, I'm not believing it. I would be right where everybody else is. But the fact that it's the actual FBI that has not a thing to gain is why I believe that they're telling the truth, that it is Brian's dental records. That's why. But that's a really good question.
Silent and remaining silent through those crucial days in early September where they would not take the Petito and Schmidt phone calls and would not respond to Gabby's family just trying to find out where Gabby was, and they were just staying silent, and they were being represented at that time by Stephen Bertolino, their attorney. This just goes to show how much bad juju there is out there on social media for Chris and Roberta Laundrie. That's not necessarily a news term, but it is just indicative of just, again, how much people are looking at Chris and Roberta Laundrie here and saying, what happened? What exactly happened? And I think that people want answers once and for all, Justin, from Chris and from Roberta.
And Stephen Bertolino's line of communication this whole time through is he advised his clients to say nothing. And I think that's where a lot of the frustration built towards this family in those early days is what did they know, if they know anything, and when. And they were radio silence during those first few days, except for the statements that Mr. Bertolino started putting out. I believe it was Tuesday, the 14th would have been the first day he put out a public statement saying it's a difficult time for both of these families. My clients are not going to say anything else. I think that's where a lot of the frustration has been directed at this family, is that they were not really saying much in those early days before authorities found Gabby's body out west.
Looking through just some of the comments that are coming in, there is a lot of disbelief here, and they're coming in so fast. I am trying to pluck them as much as I can. Everyone else is on the news here, so it's me going through some of these comments and trying to get as many as we can in our social media comment section. Let's say a big thank you, of course, to Maria for filing in that comment, and we'll see if Facebook cooperates as far as getting us the next one here.
And one more note, JB, from our early days of reporting on this case. I keep referring to my notes from that first conversation with Josh Taylor on Monday the 13th. At the time, he told me they had 10 detectives from their department assigned to work on this case. Just another little tidbit how this was, knew this was going to be a big case from the early days on. And again, we're all sitting here with this admission today that despite the manpower and that they were putting towards this case in the beginning, they mistook Brian returning home for his mother, Roberta.
Again, JB Buno, Justin Shecker. If you're joining us, you can go to WFLA.com, the WFLA app. You can read the very latest on this story. Again, a mix-up that explains a lot and doesn't make the Northport Police Department look all that good, but it is them stepping forward and saying this is what happened. Again, this was the mistake. This is why we said one thing one day and Brian really wasn't really within. We didn't know where he was the next.
Yeah. And I go back to what I said from Stephen Bertolino's public comments. Now, he tipped off the FBI that Brian wasn't home. How did that information then not get back to Northport PD? So it's, again, just, I think, further muddies the water in a way, JB. It answers one thing as to why Chief Garrison said what he said, but now it's who knew what when that week that this young man did not come home, and we're all left here scratching our heads a little bit dumbfounded by this development.
Northport Police, again, coming forward and telling WFLA.com, really just confirming to me via email that this was, in fact, what happened, and this was the reason for the mix-up in September. And I think that there's nothing, it's fair to say, and I've been saying it for weeks, there has been a lot of criticism online for the Northport Police Department. I think that's an observation that is it's not out of the purview of anybody. I mean, you go on social media and there's quite a lot of critique there for the Northport Police Department, but you know what? Police departments, folks, they make mistakes too. This was a mistake, and Josh Taylor stepping forward to the microphone today and admitting that.
Okay, there's no reason for Josh Taylor to come forward and admit this unless there was something else going on. What that something else is, I don't know, but something else is going on. There's no reason for him to have even come up with this. Yeah, Roberta's Brian. It just doesn't make sense at all. And Queen Bee, I agree. If Bertolino was such a good friend of the family, he would have told him get a real criminal defense attorney, unless they didn't know anything. That's what I keep coming back to. If they didn't know anything, they're not going to tell him to get a real criminal defense attorney because they wouldn't need one because Brian allegedly didn't do anything. That's the other reason. That's the other flip of it.
That it was in fact a mistake on behalf of his department. His exact words were, "No case is perfect. No case is perfect." So there's been people, Justin, that have been reaching out to me.
No case is perfect, but most cases aren't this fucked up. Just saying.
Me asking whether or not there was going to be any accountability for, but that's something we'll have to find out in time, whether or not there's any ramifications. But this isn't the first time that police have made a mistake, and it's certainly not the last time that a police department in this country will make a mistake. It's not a perfect system. They do the very best that they can, and this was quite clearly a mistake. Patricia Fisher, #KJB, none of this makes any sense. I think here's the thing, and I have said throughout the story that the one constant is expect the unexpected. If you had told me today that this was going to happen, that the reason why Northport police said that they knew where Brian was and that they didn't know where he was and that they got it wrong was because of a case of mistaken identity involving one of the parents, I would have said, oh, okay, so they thought it was Chris Laundrie and it was, or they thought it was Brian Laundrie. It was Dad Chris Laundrie. Yeah. And we have it as this is a bizarre admission by Taylor on behalf of his police department saying, no, we got it wrong because we thought that Roberta Laundrie was Brian. It's a lot of commenters here, Justin, saying it's so strange and odd that Roberta, his mother, who is with all due respect to Mrs. Laundrie, I don't want to. She's older. She's considerably older than her son, her 23-year-old son, Brian. So to make that mix-up, I want to know. So okay, where are the officers? Are they using binoculars? Are they looking outside of their car window? What time of day are they seeing this? Is it late at night? Is it early in the morning? Is it midday? Are you chomping on a quarter pounder with cheese when this is happening in your police car? Because let's be real. Okay, sitting outside and doing surveillance of a home, it is long, arduous hours where you have to pay attention at every moment for something to occur. But what was there a challenge that was present? That was the reason why investigators or officers, whomever it was at the house there, made the mistake when they thought they saw Brian return home in the Mustang. Then they radioed it in or communicated back to the department, and they said it was Brian, but in fact it was Roberta.
We should also add for the timeline, this is that Wednesday, JB, where the first time they named Brian as a person of interest in the case. So I just want to add that nugget did come out the same day, that Wednesday, when they're now saying it was this case of a...
Right there is exactly what I'm saying. That's my whole point. He wasn't even a person of interest at the time. He wasn't a person of interest till Wednesday. So why would they even be watching the house? They wouldn't have even been watching the house. It doesn't make sense. There's no reason for them to be watching the family at that point. This just doesn't add up.
The mistaken identity. So that's important to mention as well, that this is all in those first few crucial days when the story is slowly gaining momentum from a local story here covered in Florida, out west, the New York market. It was really that Wednesday, Thursday when this became a big national sensation at this point, and Northport coming under the microscope, especially that press conference. We keep talking about that Thursday. Do you know where he is? Chief says absolutely yes. And it turns out because he was given bad intel from the day before that his officers reported back to him that they thought Brian had returned home in the Mustang, when now they're saying it was his mom.
Mistaken identity.
All right, let me repeat that again. But instead, Nelly, maybe which is why they weren't watching that closely, but why were they watching it all at that point? Since when does the NPPD, hey, Verika, watch a house when he wasn't even allegedly reported missing at that point? What are they watching for? This is what I don't understand. They were watching for his mom, exactly. But what were they watching for? They couldn't have been watching for something that they didn't know. But at that point, they didn't know anything, Cindy. They got the call on the 11th. Why were they watching the house? You're innocent until proven guilty. There would be no reason for them to start watching. I mean, they don't do surveillance like that just because somebody's missing. You knock on the door, you bring him in as a suspect, you find out what he knows, and you release him if there's nothing to help. That's what I'm saying. Like, the more they talk, the more brain cells I lose, because they're making it 10 times harder than it needs to be. And they're making it so much harder, and they're making it so it doesn't even make sense. Their timeline doesn't make sense. Even if they thought Gabby was going to show up, since when did they sit there and camp out people's houses waiting for a missing person to show up? Think about it. They don't. It's just the more they talk, the more their stories change. Exactly. And they just don't make sense. Nothing makes sense.
And also, too, we have heard, and it's been now shared publicly by News Nation's Brian Enton, and we knew this as well, but we didn't. There were cameras. So Brian Enton shares that there were cameras that were set up there and that they had surveillance of the house. And so do you then review that footage, that surveillance footage, and say, yep, there goes Brian walking into the house. He returns home in the Mustang. There he goes inside. We know where he is now. We can say in the press conference confidently that Brian is in fact at his family's home there in Northport. Is there visual evidence? Is there digital evidence that supports what the?
Okay, here's another thought. You set up cameras and surveillance, but you don't talk to the guy first? Is that how we've come in the police department? You're going to scope out somebody else, but you're not even going to talk to them first? That doesn't make sense either. How did they not speak to him before they set up surveillance cameras? Why did the neighbor say anything? It just doesn't add up. I don't get it. It's like they're trying to cover their own asses and they're making themselves look like bigger idiots. So if I'm missing something, someone please fill me in here, because I don't think I am.
Visual evidence was, as far as the surveillance that they had. These are questions now, because now we know that the home was under surveillance before Brian's disappearance.
Yeah, it just further muddies the water.
It does. That's exactly why I'm bringing it up.
And by that Tuesday, Wednesday, you started to have media folks, covering outside the house there. I was there briefly on the Tuesday, and it's just, yeah, things obviously moved very quickly in those first couple of days. And by that Monday, where the story is starting to get.
All right, let me address this real quick. Even with an attorney, what happens when you hire an attorney? The cops can still talk to you, but your attorney's got to be there. A lawyer can never tell a cop, hey, you can't talk to my client unless I'm there. Cops still overrule attorneys. They can still arrest somebody, but the attorney's got to fly in. So that's why that doesn't fly either. That still doesn't make sense. Hey, Will.
Get news attention. We know that's when the family says that Brian went to the reserve and never came home.
And again, clarifying from Brian Enton that the cameras were up early.
So we've had to be between that Saturday and Monday then, right? I mean, those first, 36, 48 hours.
Yeah, that the cameras went up pretty soon. And again, that's according to News Nation's Brian Enton. Yeah, just reading a couple of text messages here. Okay, so the next comment that we have coming through, and okay, yeah, Barbara, you're up next. We're going to go to Barbara's comment here on WFLA Now in the Facebook Live comment section with hashtag HJB, hashtag HJustin, and let's see. All right, Facebook, cooperate. Yes, see, it just takes a little bit of a push. Barbara Eisenberg here. Let me read it for everyone listening, because not everybody watches. Some people just listen in their cars. Hashtag HJB. Of course, I can't say for sure, but wasn't Brian much taller than his mother? And doesn't his mother have a full head of hair? Let's talk about the hair first. Yes, the hair undeniably. Roberta Laundrie does have a full head of hair. We've seen her
height, seen her next to her husband. She's shorter than Chris.
But we don't know his height either. So we're trying to be. Let's just say maybe Roberta's 5'4". It's a 4-inch difference. So if you're somewhat, if you're on that street and you're Northport police and you're providing surveillance, let's say an unmarked vehicle, and let's say you're there just hanging out on a public road and you see the Ford Mustang come home, can you, depending on your distance from the house itself, your proximity from the house itself, how equipped are you to distinguish between a 5'8" person and a 5'4" person? Again, that's just assuming that Roberta is somewhere in that height.
Staying classy. I totally get all that. That's not my point. You're missing my whole point. I believe me, I get all that. But I'm saying that they either would have brought him in for questioning, whether he had an attorney or not. I can't think of a case where they set up police surveillance on a alleged innocent person before they even questioned him. That police just don't do that. You have to question somebody before you set up surveillance on them, unless they're like the mob or something. It just, I'm sorry, it doesn't add up. It just doesn't. And I'm streaming through it because I got to pick up Dayton soon, so I want to get through this.
Don't know if Roberta's 5'4". If she's significantly shorter than that, then of course this mistake was made, and he's saying it's because they had a similar build.
So as a journalist, one of the things that I'm really eager for, JB, and I go back to what we said about the report from Friday being completely redacted that we received. At what point will this case be considered closed, that we can see these documents unredacted?
No time soon, I don't think.
I'm just saying, I don't know when that'll be, but I think we as journalists will do our best. We have pretty open sunshine laws here in our state to get access to this stuff, but it'd be nice to see, I don't know when it'll be, but we will stay on top of that, JB, when we can get access to these unredacted reports to see what exactly was said in these early days of this investigation. And I really want to see the one that you tweeted out earlier, that Friday, completely blacked out, because again, I go back to what I said before about Bertolino saying he had tipped off the FBI that Brian had gone to the reserve, but he wasn't officially reported missing to Northport PD till Friday. So I really want to see that unredacted report. I think that would help maybe unmuddy the water a little bit if we can get those reports. I don't know when they'll come out, but everyone here at News Channel 8, JB, myself, we will stay on top of that to hopefully provide you guys at some point in our reporting what these reports say when they're not completely blacked out.
Can we just talk for a moment? And we are not doing a long stream here. We're going to be done relatively soon. But let me just point something out for our audience. I think that a lot of folks are commenting this without hashtags. So let me share an observation from our commenters and our loyal WFLA Now viewers around the world, and I'll try to share this sentiment as accurately as possible. Okay, there was so much that had to occur for Brian Laundrie to be able to vanish. So many things that could have gone left or right, that could have gone thumbs up, thumbs down for us to get to the end result, and that went that one particular way. Let's go back to August. He's there in a domestic dispute, and that happens in Utah and Moab, and police decide to split them up, but that no charges are filed. It was just a one-night separation is what is determined in Moab. That occurs. Then Brian Laundrie, returns home, and Gabby Petito's father and Gabby Petito's mother, Nicole, they try so desperately to reach out to the Laundries. They don't get any response. That goes in seemingly now, potentially, depending on your viewpoint and your perspective here, in Brian's favor, at least Brian being able to get to elude authorities if he is in fact attempting to elude authorities. Then somehow he is able to on Monday the 13th, according to Bertolino, on Monday the 13th, somehow, some way, he's able to just poof, vanish. The family reports it as Tuesday the 14th, but it's actually the 13th. Then that Wednesday, police come home, or excuse me, the Mustang returns home, and police mistake Roberta Laundrie for Brian. That again is something that you couldn't have seen coming. And then he has several days where he's already out there at the Carlton Reserve, apparently, or already out there at the Carlton Reserve. No one has any idea. No, not even police have any idea that he had multiple days.
Saying he told the FBI. That's where this whole just adds the muddy, those first couple of days there. It's just, it's.
All right, let me correct you, staying classy. Police can do whatever the fuck they want to do. If they want to bring you in for questioning, they can bring you in for questioning. It's on their attorney to fly out to wherever you're being represented. But 100%, cops can do whatever the hell they want. They just, you have to have an attorney, but they could still bring you in. You felt about Sage having a car? Yeah, we got all the stuff out of the car today. Oh, man. I almost cried.
You wish you could play, hindsight, but
I'm just. I'd like to note that we see the comments out there that have been very, very, very critical of Moab police. We have seen the comments that have been very, very critical of Northport police, and we do know that there is this very vocal group out there of viewers that are saying that Brian Laundrie slipped through the cracks, and that there was all of these opportunities, these moments in time where perhaps they could have at least asked him the question that's on everyone's minds: what happened to Gabby? Did something terrible happen to Gabby under your watch? And it just didn't happen. We never, ever, ever were given the opportunity to find out from Brian himself what happened to Gabby Petito.
And Bertolino's advised the parents not to say anything. And to this day, they've not really said much of what, if anything, they did know. We know, JB, we've covered a lot about those days between the 1st and the 11th with the camping trip to Fort DeSoto we reported on. Obviously, his sister has been come under scrutiny for what she knew. When did she see her brother during those first couple of days? And now with the discovery last week that Brian's remains have been found, it's we'll never, the unsatisfying ending that he'll never have a chance to make a statement, at some point to investigators about what happened and what did he know when. And it's just,
Cheryl Lewis, #KJB, so many red flags in this entire story. The average person has seen them. Why hasn't law enforcement seen them? And Cheryl, I'm trying to click the button to flash your comment on screen so we can show it, but it's just not cooperating today. We had the problem in our earlier stream as well. It's just doesn't. Welcome to live streaming, folks. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. We're here live with you, Justin Checker, JB Buno, and there are just so many oddities, so many unexpected occurrences in this case that where if things had gone the other way, Brian Laundrie is at least approached by police, or arrested on the federal arrest warrant that was in his name for debit card fraud. There are so many moments in time where you think that it's so close to Brian Laundrie being at least questioned, at least in the same room as an officer. Let's point that out. There was never a moment where Brian Laundrie was looking an officer in the face outside of the Moab incident. He gets back on September 1st in the white van. Yep. Goes camping a few days later. Then Monday the 13th, he vanishes. Northport police say that we know where he is, but they didn't know where he was because they thought it was Roberta returning home in the Mustang. And here we are. And now we are just awaiting word at this time. Right now, it's for people that have found this stream after the fact. Right now, it's 6:48 Eastern Time, October 25th, 2021. As of right now, we don't know the cause of death, and we don't know when perhaps a forensic examiner, like an anthropologist, can definitively say when, in fact, Brian Laundrie died. But I mean, we now know a little bit more as to how he was able to
elude police.
Yeah, or if not elude police, just go out for this hike and no one know about it really, rather than Chris and Roberta. But again, you're talking about the Bertolino statement, so there's just that whole week. That whole week is. But I mean, we now know a little bit more as to how he was able to
elude police.
Yeah, or if not elude police, just go out for this hike and no one know about it really, rather than Chris and Roberta. But again.
Okay, I want you guys to take notice of something. Look at how high this is. They're saying, conspiracy theorists are saying how it's not that high. Look how high this is. No drone is going to find a body in there. No, a boat's not going to find a body in there. I don't know how... Excuse me, I don't know how tall this guy is, but unless he's like 5'2", this is pretty high. I'm assuming he's probably 5'10", 5'11". I'm going to average. This comes all the way up to like the bottom of his butt. So this is like 6 feet, 4 feet of swamp. Nobody's going to see a body laying down there. They're just not. It's impossible.
You're talking about the Bertolino statement, so there's just that whole night when we were live here for hours on end and talking about how, and Josh Taylor called in to WFLA Now and admitted on WFLA Now in front of, I think it was 250,000 people were watching in that moment or so, and Josh Taylor admitting to us here on stream, we don't know where Brian Laundrie is. That week is going to be under the microscope for many, many, many months, years, if not even more than that, as people look back on this story.
And that Friday, I was down in Northport. I mean, it was a circus outside the home that night. That was, there was a handful of TV crews, reporters. The protesters showed up that night, and that was really the first time, JB, where Northport police, where the Laundrie parents, took time to talk to Northport police. Was, oh no, our son is missing too. And we all remember the statement that came out that night from the attorney for the Schmidt Petito family saying, no, he's not missing, he's hiding. And now we know He's been dead. We don't know how long he's been since he became deceased. How he died remains under investigation, but given what they've said about the partial remains being discovered, I think, JB, we're on the same page. I think that he probably was dead shortly after he vanished to the park, and I will just wait to see when the anthropologist can try to piece that timeline together for us. But like you said, that first week from the missing person report from Miss Petito on the Saturday to that next Friday, those 6 days will be forever scrutinized, what happened during those days. And here's another twist to the story. The news today that Northport Police spokesperson Josh Taylor says that Wednesday they thought it was Roberta returning. They thought it was Brian returning home, and instead they mistook him for his mother.
Let's see one more. There it is. Elizabeth Flower. Hashtag, hey, Justin, when will we know the cause of death? Big question.
There's no set timeline on this. Elizabeth, we do know the remains turned.
Let me tell you, it seriously pisses me off. For lack of, most of us, most of America, most of the world believe that Brian killed her. So why do you keep showing happy video with the two of them? It's most likely that he murdered her. So why do you keep showing them in their happiest moments? That's got to be the biggest stab in the back to the parents of Gabby. It's so sad to me. I would be freaking out if all they showed were these happy moments of the two of them. Show them separately. Do not keep showing them with her smiling and everything else. It is morbid. It's gross. Like, you have enough. I'm sure Brian's got home videos. I'm sure there's videos of Brian. And I'm sure you can get videos of Gabby. Keep them separate. I just think it's fucking weird.
Turn over to an anthropologist, try to do more analysis of this. I was honestly surprised, JB, that they positive ID'd him within 24 hours last week.
We were all
shocked by that. I mean, I had gotten down there to the park. I was near where our colleague Allison was reporting, and we'd seen the tweet from Brian Enton. And I'm like, it was that moment where it was like, it's quiet out there, radio silence. We all get that push alert from the FBI being like, wait, it is him. And it was, so I think we're all surprised that we got the positive ID so quickly from the dental records, according to the FBI. As for a official cause of death for Brian, just given what we've reported on how the remains were discovered, it could take some time. But obviously, JB and myself and our team here will stay on top of this. And as soon as there is an update, we'll let people know. But it could, in my estimation, take longer to learn how he died than we learned, sadly, how Gabby was strangled to death. Was in maybe, a month after she was identified. So
this is Justin and I. This is our first time on stream together since that. So I'll just share. I too was very, very surprised. But at the same time, with the prevalence of this case, the high priority and high profile of this case, I'm sure every means that they could, as far as expediting those dental records and getting a thorough dental review back quickly, there has to be enough indistinguishable characteristics in those dental remains for them to say with certainty, with the FBI's name and emblem on that release, this is Brian Laundrie. So for all the folks, and listen, I know, Justin knows, we both know how many comments there are.
Okay, for those of you that think he's still alive, listen carefully. All right, listen up.
Are people saying I don't think Brian is deceased. We see them.
My sister called and said that to me, like the night after I'm there reporting on this on scene. I told my sister, no, like.
Your sister?
Who's been following the story. She's asked me that same question. Is he really deceased? I said, Sarah, this is what the FBI is telling us. They've, so it just. People have had these oddities in this story. I've left people scratching their head, JB. I think it's part of the reason so many people, friends I know across the country, you as well, have been following this closely. And I assured my sister and others, I said, no, this is from the FBI, that they have enough evidence to say he is dead.
I have had others come up to me in person and say, JB, I don't think he's dead. And I understand that there's just, and this goes back to, and let me explain why so many people are saying this. First and foremost, we watch way too much Netflix, way too much Hulu, way too much HBO. Okay, we're there, I think that we are a media-obsessed country, and I'm speaking, yes, about the United States, but even other countries around the world, watching shows, Squid Game. Okay, there's just way where the unbelievable is to be expected. They just think that this is going to play out like a television show. But also at the same time, it goes back to all of the moments of sheer disbelief throughout this story. More than any story that I've ever covered in my career, and I'm being very candid with our audience here, I have never seen so many moments of an unexpected occurrence actually occur. I still to this day, I talk with my wife at home, I still cannot believe there was a moment that Friday night, and I'll share this with our viewers, there was that moment on Friday night, September 17th, where I was in the newsroom, I was about to go home for the night, and we were waiting, but we had heard that there was a lot of commotion at the house, and we were preparing a live stream, and we were trying to get the live feed up from the laundry home because we heard that it was a zoo. We heard it was a circus. And the feed comes on, and we see We see media, we see the public, we see demonstrators with signs, with bullhorns, with megaphones on the front lawn of the laundry home. There was more distance between me and this camera
Yep.
than there was between the front door, or there was about the same distance between me and this camera right here than there was to the front door of the home, to where people were standing on Chris and Roberta's property. That's how crazy that night was. There's so many moments in this story where there was just so many just unbelievably unexpected occurrences, like that one, like so many others, including this one here tonight, where police, it's a case of mistaken identity upon the return of the Mustang, and it's police mistaken Roberta laundry for Brian and not Chris laundry for Brian. There's just so many moments like that here in the story, and that is why, bringing this all back full circle, I think that's a big reason why there are so many people out there that still tweet at me, that go over to my WFLA JB Instagram and Facebook and say, JB, I don't care what you say, Brian Laundrie isn't dead. But folks, it's the Federal Bureau of Investigation. It's the FBI, with every expert that they have. Okay, this is the top really law enforcement agency in the country. Okay, and with the high profile, they have any federal examiner that they want able to look at these dental remains. And for them to put it out so quickly is even more indicative that it was indistinguishable that those remains did in fact belong to Brian Laundrie, and that Brian Laundrie, according to the Federal Bureau of Investigation, is deceased. I know that there's going to be so many commenters saying, I don't believe that, but we're staying rooted in reality. It's the FBI confirming that Brian Laundrie is deceased. The family has come to terms with it, according to Bertolino. Bertolino himself shed a couple of tears on it.
Privately, there won't be a funeral, that they're just, processing this for having lost their son. And it goes back to the fact that they searched that park in and out for how many weeks, JB, until it was the day after the park reopened. The parents decided to go back over there, and they helped investigators stumble upon these items, the backpack, the notebook, and then...
I get it. So of all the people to find that bag, you're telling me that it's Chris Laundrie, you're telling me... I guess
for law enforcement, fair. I mean, they've said because it was the weather conditions, being underwater there, that might have hampered efforts with any canines or any search teams to locate these items. But again, people have raised suspicion about how the parents, stumbled upon these items there on that Wednesday morning, and then by the next day, by 6 o'clock, we know that he's passed away, and those are his remains there. So it's like you said, it's been unexpected since we've been on this story for the last almost 2 months now, JB. But again, those first few days, that first week after Nicole Schmidt reported her daughter missing, will be under so much scrutiny for days, months, and years to come as people continue to analyze and piece together what happened. And I referenced back, my first conversation with Josh Taylor on that Monday, and him saying, well, he's not cooperating to the level we want him to be. I can't really tell you. He wasn't a suspect or person of interest at that point. And then, again, that moment on Thursday where the chief said, we know where he is, we now know is based on this incorrect intel he had received from his officers on Wabasso Avenue there, mistaking him for his mother. And we're all still here scratching our heads all these weeks later.
And let's not let, Justin, are you familiar with the death of Elisa Lam at the Cecil Hotel? And it was a story that was brought back. I remember, but it was a story that was brought back into the mainstream by the Netflix series that went into the death at the Cecil Hotel. Let me just share this for our viewers, okay? That when people ask, JB, what are some of the other stories that you remember that rise to the level of public fascination as far as a mystery? And this was a mystery. Who was, how did Gabby Petito die? First and foremost, where was Gabby Petito? Then it became, how did Gabby Petito die? Then it became, who murdered Gabby Petito? Then it became Brian Laundrie, where is Brian Laundrie? And then it became, of course, now, how did Brian Laundrie die? All of these mystery-based questions, and this is what online sleuthing has contributed to as far as trying to collaboratively put together evidence on channels like, Reddit and Discord and so many other places, trying to collaboratively, community-based crime solving, right? Trying to come together and aiding law enforcement in coming to, trying to find out the truth. I remember earlier on in this story,
but based on your comment, Lindsay, where has the FBI truly fucked up in the history of the FBI? Think about it. Thank you, Verika. When have you seen the FBI completely screw something up so badly that they mistook somebody for being dead? They haven't. It's not common with the FBI. So that's really what JB is saying. Probability is they're not lying. There's no reason for them to lie. Hunter's laptop. So I am going to have to finish this later. I have to go get Dayton, especially because now I can't tell Sage to go pick him up. So I'm going to have to finish this when I get back. And after dinner, so I'll probably be live again at 9, and then we can finish this. I'll leave it as is. So there's not much left. There's only about 30 minutes left with me talking, but we will definitely finish it after. again, big shout out to Sloan. And that's it. If you guys haven't checked Rewind the Video, Sloan gave me an amazing review. We're going to do a collab together on candles. And I will see you guys in a little while. Probably like an hour or so. All right? I'll see you. I promise I'll be back.